Kakadosh Boker Tov, Chodesh Tov. And we're continuing with finishing off Siman Resh Sadi, which has to do with also the limud of the Torah on Shabbat. He brings down over here the Halacha Brura, that Talmidei Chachamim, which are accustomed to learning Torah the entire week with Biyun Pilpul Doraita, which means that they're learning very, very much in depth. So they're allowed to continue the Seder Limudim also on Shabbat, and we're not going to suspect that maybe because it's so difficult, it's going to be Mvatel from Oneg Shabbat. Nevertheless, there are a lot of Talmidei Chachamim, which what they do on Shabbat is that they learn Torah b'limud pshat, right? Uba'agadav v'midrashei Chazal, which means that they learn lighter things. They're not going to learn things which are very, very difficult, right? Rav Ovadia Yosef Zatzal, he used to actually be mechabev me'od the limud on the nights of Shabbat, and he used to usually stay up the majority of the night or the entire night of the night of Shabbat. He used to learn biyun amok, and he used to look in all the divrei poskim and Motzei Shabbat. And in the rest of the week, he used to write the Chidushet Torah, which he used to be Mechadesh only because of the night of Shabbat. Because he said that the limud of the night of Shabbat, there's a He'ara Miyuchedet. There's a special light which is coming, which is going to have an influence on the limud throughout the entire week. So therefore he comes and he says, it's also Mutar Talmidei Chachamim to learn on Shabbat something which is new, which they're not usually accustomed to throughout the entire week, and they didn't learn it beforehand. And we're not going to suspect also that since they're not used to this, or they're not accustomed to learning this type of limud, so therefore they're going to be mvatel from Oneg Shabbat. Now, is a person allowed to minimize sleep in order to learn Shabbat? So he comes and he says over here as follows. He says that when you have Talmidei Chachamim that they want to learn Torah, and they want to stay up the entire night of Leil Shabbat, or even for part of the night, if it's going to be that he's mitzta'el, which means that he's suffering, right? So then he's not allowed to do so. Why? Because mvatel Oneg Shabbat. And even if it could be that at the time of the learning he's not suffering, but if he stays up the next day, it's going to be a problem for him. So therefore, in such a scenario, he comes and he says, it's better not to. So therefore, why? Because he says he's going to, so therefore, let's say he's going to stay up all night, but the next day, he's half asleep. He can't pray properly, he can't even do the Sudah properly. So obviously he doesn't do that. He goes to sleep like a human being, and that's it. And he'll try to learn as much as he can. However, though, if a person's accustomed to doing this, and it's not going to make any difference, the fact that he stayed up the entire night or not, or he stayed up very late or not, so therefore they're allowed to continue in their minhag, and there's no problem whatsoever. The last halacha here, it says, it's Talmidei Chachamim that they give shiurim on Shabbat. They should try to give, the shiurim should be until the end of the day, which means that they shouldn't finish when it's still very early on into the day. They should try to finish, and that's why the Sudah Shlishit takes longer, and it goes already into the nighttime. Nevertheless, they should try to finish in a way that the tzibur will still be able to say mincha, and then to eat and to start Sudah Shlishit before the Shekiyah, which means that we know that the way that it is that obviously we should try to learn as much as possible on Shabbat. So if we have the shiur, but we should try to have as much shiur as possible. But at the same time, you don't want that the mincha is going to be eating away at the Shekiyah, which means you still want that after the mincha, you still have enough time in order to wash, in order to eat before the Shekiyah. So therefore, they should try to do it as much as they can, the shiur. However, though, mitzat sheni, that they should have enough time in order to eat Sudah Shlishi before the Shekiyah, and then afterwards, obviously, to continue, right, until Bezrat Hashem. The next siman is actually going to be the Shalosh Seudot, right, Sudah Shlishi, basically, the halachot of Sudah Shlishit, and we'll continue from there.